Hey guys, welcome back to the OG of the HRC Way news they ain't telling you. So today is a very special day. We have our very first guest on the OG of the HRC Way news they ain't telling you. My very dear friend Nikki, who has an amazing, inspiring story that's going to come a little bit later via Zoom, of course. Thank you, COVID. But until then, let's get into, as usual, the quick news, if I may. So I know impeachment has started officially today. Yesterday was just the rules day. Today is the whole shebang. The House managers are using unseen footage from January 6th, and they made this remarkable video that I'm sure all of you guys have seen. And if you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's pretty tragic. So we shall see what happens from there. It's all out of all of our hands at this point. So 67 is what's needed. Just keep that in mind, guys. 67. So that is a tough sell. Okay, first, we have Congressman Ron Wright of Texas passed away from COVID this last weekend. He has been suffering from lung cancer for quite some time, and COVID tragically took him down. So he was only 67 years old. That is pretty darn young. AOC and Schumer have announced that a plan to give $7,000 for people for reimbursement for COVID funerals if they can't pay it. I believe that money is coming from FEMA. So I don't think it's random that it's AOC and Schumer working together. So all those rumors of AOC primarying Schumer, I don't know if he's putting on an olive leaf, but keep an eye on that. Okay, Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, is running for Senate in Pennsylvania, along with probably at least 3 or 4 more Democrats that we don't know about. But of course, John Fetterman is known for taking on Trump, sort of battling with Trump via COVID, via election stuff, via everything. He's tall, he's bald, and he actually has a degree from Harvard University. So don't always judge a book by its cover. Pennsylvania will be interesting because Biden is a Pennsylvania man. He won Pennsylvania in the general. So can we win a Senate seat? I don't know. Another Senate news, Alabama Senator Shelby will not seek re-election, considering that he's 86 years old. It's not a surprise. Is Alabama in play? I don't know. We had a senator from Alabama, Doug Jones, for 1 term at least. So probably not, but who knows? It's always easier to beat a new guy than an incumbent. So who knows? Pete Buttigieg is currently under quarantine because one of his security agents tested positive for COVID. So he is in quarantine. So he just started his job as the Secretary of Transportation, made 1 trip, I think, to Metro in Washington, D.C., and now is in quarantine. So there you go. They haven't announced whether or not he tested positive. So we shall wait and see. Democrats are planning to unveil a $3,000 child benefit as part of their COVID package. Now, what I'm thinking from this goes back to something Mitt Romney had said about a week ago now, I think, of something along this lines of giving people who have children even more money. So does this mean we might be having a bipartisan deal? Probably not, but I think that's interesting. I told you guys the other day about good old Utah and how those school districts have allowed parents to opt out of their children learning about Black History Month. Well, those parents decided that they're going to withdraw the request and allow their children to learn about Black History Month. So I'm guessing they got a lot of nasty emails, tweets, and Instagram posts. This is a good one. So if you guys follow us on TikTok, which you should be, because I think I'm pretty funny on there sometimes. I do say so myself. But I did a video about Claudia Conway and how at first I was sort of like, what? Like, this is crazy. And then the second I was like, well, wait, this sort of seems like they're setting this up for a reality show. Well, there is a reality show involved. Claudia Conway will be on American Idol, I believe this Sunday, I think. I have no idea. And now she has resurfaced back on TikTok after taking a break because of all of those like videos of her mom and all that. So, and it was like sort of pretending like none of that happened. So, yeah, I smell a reality show. I'm sorry. I just do. This is too much. And that family is Cuckooville. So, and Kellyanne Conway is a very manipulative woman. So, anyways, Neera Tanden, who is going to be Biden's OMB director, who I love, who is a huge Hillary Clinton supporter, and she's never waved from that. And the extreme left hates her and conservatives hate her, so that makes me happy. She is in front of Senate today to get confirmed. She'll probably be one of the most difficult people in his administration to get confirmed, simply because the extreme left doesn't like her and conservatives don't like her. But she will get through, and she's going to do a fantastic job as OMB director. She came from very poor upbringing. She's a daughter of immigrants. She's just the American dream all around. She's a tough lady. I am team Nara all the way. And last but not least, I just want to say this now that we're still talking about fearless Britney, or framing Britney Spears. She is fearless too. But I just want to say to everyone really quick, can you please stop sharing the photo of her with her shaved head, or in the process of shaving her head, or the photos of her, or the video of her attacking the paparazzi, or the videos of her getting into the ambulance, or the videos of her, with her child almost dropped. Can we stop? Because we can't say that our heart breaks for her when we all continue that cycle of let me show photos of Britney Spears as the breakdown is happening. You don't get it both ways, guys. So if we're really going to make a difference, and we're really going to talk about mental health, which a lot of people are saying Britney Spears is bringing awareness to mental health issues, this is not the way to do it. So maybe let's do something different this time. So, all right, that is the quick news. Let's get on to my interview with Niki. All right, guys, I am here with my amazing girlfriend that I feel like I've known my whole life. We go way back to Seattle days. She was my girl. And when I was looking for someone to interview to set off the OG of the HRC way, news they ain't telling you, I thought I have to get my girl, Niki, on here. She has an amazing story. She's overcome so much. And when I started this podcast, I wanted to reach out to as many inspiring women as possible. And Niki, you are one of those. So I hope you guys enjoy her story. I know you will. And make sure you guys follow her on all the social medias, which we'll plug later, because she's starting this whole empire. She's a yoga guru now, healing people all over the place. Yes. Even horses, I saw.
Yes.
So Niki, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are sitting there in lovely Arizona. The sun is shining. And it's exactly where I picture you would be at some point in your life. I knew it. Washington, what were we ever doing there? You or me?
I don't know. I don't get it.
So much better. So much better. Okay, so first and foremost, Niki, what I think is so interesting about your story is that you're adopted. Yes. And I am just curious, at what point did you realize or know that you were adopted? How did that all go about?
That's so interesting. I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's really where it started, right? I would say I was probably 3 years old. And I remember my aunt was pregnant, and I kept asking my mom, was I inside of her? And she said, no. I asked my grandma, did you have me in your belly? She said, no. And then they just slowly started to explain to me that another woman had me and gave me up because she couldn't take care of me. And that's all that I really knew. And from that point on, I just knew that I was kind of different.
Right. And so with that, obviously, when you're adopted, did you know ever who your birth mom was? At any point, did you search her out? Some people do, some people don't. So it's an interesting topic,
Yes, it is. I was one of those people that had to know. I had to know her story. I had to know her why. And so after I had my first daughter at 21, I found my birth mother, and she was honestly nothing like I had ever envisioned or fantasized about.
So it was was she a letdown for you? Yeah.
It was a letdown. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you go about finding your birth mom? Did your mom did your adopted mom, did she know, or?
They knew. They weren't very supportive about it. I hired a lady through the hospital that I was born at in Vancouver, Washington. And she was a lady that went to the courts and unsealed the records for me and was able to obtain my birth mom's information.
She unsealed the records for you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Only you, Niki, would that happen. I swear. That's so fitting. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So then you met your mom and never had any sort of relationship with your birth mother.
I didn't. It was just, I just couldn't really relate to her. I had always envisioned her to be this strong woman that, just had to give me up for certain reasons. And I ended up finding out that she tried to miscarry me and threw herself down a flight of stairs.
Oh, wow.
She contemplated abortion. Uh,
Wow.
it was pretty intense. And so after that, I went on a downward spiral.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
for obvious reasons,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And did she have
yeah.
any other children
She did. She had 4 kids before me, and she was
before you?
married. Yes, married,
Wow.
had an affair with my father, who was a bank robber,
Oh my
was
god.
spent, the end of his life in Walla Walla State Penitentiary up in Washington.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Very
Did you ever
bizarre.
contact your biological father?
He passed away in February of '02,
Mm.
and so I never made contact with him, but I have later since made contact with majority of my brothers from my dad, and I'm the baby out of 11 siblings on both sides. Yeah.
Wow.
And they
Wow,
all
that's
said that it was a blessing I never met him. So,
right.
yeah.
Wow.
Isn't
Are
that
you close
crazy?
with any of those siblings?
One of them, yeah, just one. His name is Tracy, and he lives up in Tri-Cities,
Oh,
Washington
okay.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah,
remarkable. Okay, so you meet her, you're 21, you just had this
yeah,
baby.
yeah,
You're married. Is your marriage
yeah.
toxic at this point?
Very
And did it
extremely
start
toxic.
out toxic?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And do you think that
yep,
you were like you're so young, 21 to be a mom and married.
exactly.
Do you think that
Yeah.
you were trying to fill a void of what you weren't getting?
Oh, for sure. And I think like growing up in this small little town of Wisconsin, like you don't get pregnant without getting married. Like,
Mm.
it's just kind of one of those things that you just didn't do. So I just quick reacted to, we better get married, which was inevitably the wrong decision. But in hindsight, it taught me a lot.
Right. And it gave you your daughters. So, I mean,
Yes.
who are amazing, amazing young women now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
No.
so the marriage, the first marriage,
Yeah.
so you're 21, you're married with a baby.
Yep.
And just tell me a little bit about that journey with your ex, if you may, because I
Yeah.
know it personally, I know, but I would love
Yeah.
everyone else to know to show what you've overcome.
Uh, well, initially, I'll never forget my dad, at the time, right before I was about to walk down the aisle, and he looked at me and he said, "Are you sure about this?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm sure." And I will always have that filed away in my memory of just being a profound moment, and maybe trusting I should have trusted them a little bit more
Mhm.
with decision making. But moving forward into my marriage, it became toxic almost immediately with physical violence. My ex-husband knew that I had a throat phobia because I had been strangled before, and he immediately went to physical violence. I feel, to dominate, try to control me, try to gain the upper hand. And it started off with choking me, and it just really, I mean, rocked my world. I was in Memphis because I was a flight attendant, and I had been transferred there, and I had no family, no friends. And so here I was with this little baby girl and then this abusive marriage. And it was just horrific.
Wow. And that's like someone like that's dream to have them all to yourself,
Yeah.
that they can do
Yes.
whatever. So did your family
Exactly.
know anything of what was going on with you?
I started to share, and then they got really upset, and then they started to reveal that they could see warning signs. They revealed that they were alluded to him having a pornography addiction, because we stayed with them for a short time before we relocated to Memphis. And so it was just a lot of like, we saw these signs. And yeah,
Right.
then finally I was able to divorce him and
Right.
leave him.
How long were you
So
married to him?
5 years.
Wow. And you had two daughters in that
Yeah.
5 years time.
Yep.
And you became a flight. What
Yes.
made you want to become a flight attendant? I've never asked you that actually.
Oh, wow, that's a good one. When I was 18, I grew up in a really small town in Wisconsin, and I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. And so that was my first fastest ticket
Right.
to flee. And so I was based in Minneapolis and then got a base transfer to Memphis.
Okay. And what airline did you
So
work for?
It was Northwest at the time.
Northwest. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember
Yep.
Northwest. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I can totally see you at a flight. I remember the first time I met you. I think you like told me you used to be a flight attendant. I was like,
Yeah.
that makes I would want you as my flight attendant. That's for sure.
Yes, totally.
Did you enjoy being a flight attendant? Because at least it
I
got you
did.
away from a toxic
Yeah,
environment, right? I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
I enjoyed it. I loved it, but then I had the kids and then I missed them. And then 9/11 happened and I resigned in '02 because I started having panic attacks and I thought I was having heart attacks and I was only 23 years old. I had no idea what was happening to me and the doctors that I saw were like, "You're having anxiety." And I was like, "Wow, I didn't know I had anxiety."
Right, right.
So
But you were in the air on 9/11, correct?
I was actually in Memphis at the time, and I was supposed to be at annual recurrent ground school training the day of September 11th. But my youngest daughter at the time was sick, and so I had to reschedule my training. And that's when I remember turning on the news and seeing the plane hit
Oh
the
my
World
God.
Trade Center and then the Pentagon. And I just thought I was living in a nightmare. I
Oh my
wasn't
God.
registering at all.
Right, right. What because for me, I was in high school
Yeah.
when 9/11
Yeah.
and I woke up and my mom was crying and
Oh,
I was like didn't understand. I thought it was like like it was like an accident because
me too.
I
That's
was like no one hits them, no one comes after America. You know what I mean? Like I had no
exactly.
concept of that. And then it wasn't
Exactly.
until she looked at me and said, "No, it's a terrorist attack," that I was like,
Yes.
you
Oh,
know,
I just got the chills.
so I can't even imagine. So you went
Oh,
back after 9/11
yeah,
and we're
I
up in the
did.
air.
Yep.
So, can you explain the transition, like, post 9/11, right? I mean, you're in the air, you're a flight attendant. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like.
It was a whole different world. I mean, it was just something that just changed, like my seniority skyrocketed because so many people furloughed themselves, they retired, they resigned, they left, they
Oh
quit.
my god.
And just the whole vibe, everybody's energy was, everyone was on guard. I found myself on guard. I remember a passenger coming up to me. I was in the back galley getting ice buckets ready, and they put their hand on my back to ask me for some water. And I just was very knee jerk reaction, like, what are you doing touching me?
Hmm.
And they were like, I just need water. I'm afraid to fly. I got to take a pill. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel your pain. I feel
Ay,
it.
ay, ay.
It
So
was
then you
tense.
retire for
Yep.
obvious
Yep.
reasons. I
Yes.
mean, and okay, and then what's next? What happens next for you in this journey?
Let's see, 2002 I resigned to, in '03 I got a divorce, and then we decided to move to Washington State, to get out of the South. We
Mhm.
didn't really vibe with the energy there with raising our kids, and coming from the Minneapolis area, um, I had a really hard time with, I guess you would say, racism, for sure.
Yeah, I was like, you can say racism. It's okay.
And the like vileness
Yeah, because
that
it's normal there. That's the thing
it
is
was
like
awful.
it's normal and it's segregated without even the
Oh,
laws being segregated. It's a whole
yeah,
different world that
I
people don't
couldn't deal.
understand. Yeah,
No,
I can't imagine you there at all.
no, no, no. I was like, I can't do this, and
So then what made you
so
say
we left.
Washington?
Just because I was born there and I felt like I had a little bit of a connection because I lived there until I was about 5 years old. And then we moved to the Midwest, and my ex-husband was able to get a job in Seattle like that. And so that was the primary reason.
Gotcha.
So
So
we
then
moved, divorce, but
divorce,
yeah, yeah.
divorced. And then what's next for you after you divorce? And
Oh,
how did
wow.
actually let me ask this, how
Yeah.
did you get the
Mm,
strength to say
yeah.
enough? Was there one final incident?
Oh, yes, there was. Um, Wow. Yeah, I'm actually just flashing back right now. The tip of the iceberg for me was my ex was mowing the yard, the front yard, and I was getting ready for work. I had gone into catering at the time, and he left our two younger daughters in the backyard with a pool. And I was getting ready for work and I saw them and I went and opened up the front door and I just said his name, and I was like, what are you doing? You can't mow the front yard, with the kids in the back. And from that moment on, he just pushed me through the door, became extremely violent, took my head and smashed it into a cabinet. Our 4-year-old daughter opened our sliding glass door, which was extremely difficult to open because it had sand in the tracks, because they had a sandbox. And I'll never forget her little voice saying, "Daddy, don't you do that to my mama. That hurts her."
Oh,
And I just remember from that moment on thinking like, I just went into weird survival mode. I just grabbed the kids. I put them in the bathtub. I got them ready. I was just trying to take care of them before I had to leave them for work. And I came home that night and I was like, you're never going to touch me again, like ever, or my children.
yeah.
Don't
And then
ever
that
touch me
was
again. And that was it. And I just moved out. I filed, and it was amicable at that point just because we both just knew this was not right.
right. Have you ever had a like any sort of resolve from him? I mean, has he ever like apologized to you? Has he ever taken ownership?
I would say I'm the one that was able to extend my forgiveness to him. I
Hmm.
never really got an apology from him and his part, because I later had to go through parental alienation from him and his new wife, and trying to
Right,
take, Caden. And
right.
so, no, I don't believe in my heart that I ever got an apology, but
But you've gotten to a place of forgiveness for yourself, not for him, but
uh,
for yourself.
yeah. And I the days like that were after, during that parental alienation period, I remember just gritting my teeth saying, "I forgive you," like in such
Right.
anger. And then towards the end of like this journey, I was able to say like, "I forgive you, and I truly forgive you." And
Right.
so I don't know how that really happened other than God.
Yeah, I mean, because I was pretty close with you at that point when all of that was going on with
Yes.
Kaden. And so let's get into that. Let's get into
Yeah.
how did that so you have Hunter and Caden with him
Yep.
and Lyric with your now husband Joey,
Yep.
amazing man. And Hunter is still with you at that time,
Yeah.
is a great kid, all this. Caden
Yeah.
decides
Yep.
to go with her dad. So how did that, because I think that this can be a helpful tool for moms
Yeah.
and dads who are going through exactly this. And I think your
Yep.
story is so amazing because there's resolve and a happy ending, thank
Yeah.
God. But it took a very
Yes.
long time. So start with the story of Kaden. How did she choose her dad basically and go on that journey with him?
That is, this is probably the hardest topic in my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, so what happened was my ex-husband met a woman and she was unable to have children of her own. And my ex-husband had had a vasectomy. And so they tried to gain custody or control over the oldest, Hunter, and she wasn't going for it. And so basically, what they did is they groomed Kaden, they conditioned her, they bought her, they brainwashed her at a very high level. And the woman that he's, still with now, was an extremely toxic, bitter woman, and she was able to gain control over my 12-year-old daughter by buying her a new iPhone, new clothing, using leverage like, well, you won't have to share a bedroom at our house, all these things to entice her. And we went to court, we went to mediations. Finally, I asked the court to get a guardian ad litem to come in, because I kept saying like, I don't understand like how this is happening. And then the guardian ad litem was extremely biased, and they
Towards your
used a
ex,
lot of,
right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, in like favor for him.
Hmm.
And then they basically, my ex and his new wife used a lot of my anxiety that happened during 9/11 as a deficit towards me and my character, that there was something wrong with me, and that I was somehow an unfit mother to just our middle daughter, yet I had Lyric, who was younger, and an older daughter
Right.
as well. And so the courts are just, I mean, I have nothing good to say about them because they're all involved in
Yeah.
this. Family law needs to be reformed big time.
Right.
But everyone's making money off of it. So I doubt that it'll ever be reformed,
Right.
honestly.
So then
Sad.
I remember there was a point where Caden just stopped talking to you. I mean,
Yes.
you were
Yeah.
hearing next to nothing from her. And I know that your
No,
girls are your whole world. So
absolutely.
as a mother,
Ugh,
I mean, I mean, you can't put that into words, obviously. That's something that's deep in your soul that you can't even
it's
express. But if
true.
you could try to express what
Ugh,
that was
it
like to not hear from Caden, and still having, by the way, to be a mom to your two other
to
daughters and
and
keep
to
yourself
work
together because you're
and
raising
defense.
daughters and you need to show them to be
Exactly.
strong and to not let
Whew.
things, and you did that. I know you did
Ugh,
that. I hope you know that, because you look at
with
your
your
daughters
help.
and they're all, they're all success. I mean, all around. So what
Ugh,
was that like, that feeling of my daughter's gone, I can't speak to her? What was that like for you, Nikki?
it was hell on earth,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it felt like grieving somebody who was still alive.
Mm,
It was just the most horrific pain.
yeah. Yeah. I know it was for you. So now let's go into
Yeah.
fast forward. How did Kaden come back in? Because she's back in all the way. I mean, this
Yes.
girl, and she's thriving, and she's like a
Yeah.
firefighter, like she's like
Yes.
saving trees in the forest, right? And
Yeah,
people too. But you know what I mean?
that's
She's
right.
she's remarkable. So tell me how she
Oh,
came back, so you can like inspire other moms and dads who are
uh,
going through what you're going
uh,
through. To go
I
from where you
love
just
that.
were to
Okay.
now she's
Let
back.
me
How does she come back?
let me wipe my little
Yes,
face
of course.
here.
Take your time.
um so honestly, for me, what I remember about her coming back was had been a 4-year period, and around the last year I finally just kind of came to terms. I was no longer angry. I really dove deep inside of myself. My soul found healing. I found yoga. I worked with a shaman. I did a ton of counseling. I did a lot of different approaches, and I was just moved into a different house. I threw myself into redecorating, remodeling. I just had to get hands on. And I just remember holding space for her and just believing with my whole heart that she was going to show back up. And I heard during the time in the remodeling of that home, like it was kind of like Field of Dreams moment where
Right. If
it
you
was like,
build it, she'll.
yeah,
Yeah.
I swear. And I was just like, this is weird, but I kept leaning into it, and I just kept walking in my new truths and my light, and knowing that I wasn't a damaged, defected person just because I struggled with anxiety or struggled with depression, that I was not going to be labeled that there was something wrong with me because
Mm,
of those things. And
right.
so I just remember her having a boyfriend, and he was really close to his mom. And she's a dear friend of mine, his mom. And she really helped Caden like explore the whys. Like, why don't you talk to your mom? I don't
Mm,
understand. Like, I want to hear about your mom. I'm curious about your mom. And then her boyfriend at the time was curious. And so one day, Lyric, my youngest, and my middle daughter got together, and I saw Caden, and I was just very effortless. I was
mm,
just very casual, like prayed about it. And when I saw her, I was just like, "Hey, it's so good to see you.
right.
You look great." And I just made sure that there was like no strings attached, that I had no agenda,
Right.
and I just wanted to see her. And then the
Right.
next day, she was like, "Me and my boyfriend want to come over and see your house." And I was like, "Oh, come on over." And
Yeah.
it was from that moment on,
And then it
because
just
she's,
got stronger and stronger. And now you guys are as
yes,
close as ever, right? I
yeah,
mean,
just
and
just got the
she's
phone.
where is she? She's
She's up in Skagit Valley, up
that's
in
right.
Washington. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. She's thriving and doing so great. Does she
Yes.
still have a relationship with her father?
It is a different relationship now,
Mm,
because I guess if you could say the veils over her eyes of
mm,
disillusion have
mhm.
been removed. And so she sees me who I truly am and who I am not, that they labeled and put into this box. And so
Right.
it's caused her to evaluate him in a new light and see kind of his lies, his games, and his manipulations to
Right.
gain control,
Right.
upper hand, stuff like that.
Wow. I think the
I
biggest
know.
thing, in my opinion, was key to what you just said was that you let go.
I
And
did.
people, like, that is the biggest tool that we all have, is
Yep.
like I say, let go and let God, because it's
Yes.
just like whatever that God may be, whatever your higher power
Yep.
is, and like letting the
Yeah.
second you let go, it
Oh,
comes back, in
it's so
such
true.
fruition. So I think that's
Yeah.
key in what you did in the healing process, because I know it was so difficult for
Uh,
you.
it was
So
hard, and like surrendering to not being in control.
yeah,
And
you're a Leo. We're both
yeah.
Leos. We want to be in control at
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
times.
Totally.
It's that
Totally.
control that we can't, we just want to be the lioness and just be in
Yeah.
control. So,
That's right.
I get that
Yeah.
100%. So
Yeah.
now you are
Yeah.
in Arizona. You guys
Yeah.
just got up and moved. Like, how did that happen? Because the last time that I saw you, you were here in LA and you were like, well, we maybe want to do like Florida, and it'll be like
Yeah.
after Lyric graduates. And I was like, okay, great. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, we're moving to
I know.
Arizona. So tell me how Arizona happened.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like this is really, really interesting. We, okay, so last year, COVID, 2020, um, and my husband kept saying, let's get in the motorhome and just travel. And this was like April of last year. The pandemic's just starting. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy. And I was so scared. I was like, no, I mean, fear stricken, like
Hmm.
terrified about COVID. Um, and so he just kept saying, no, Nick, we'll be safer. We'll be fine to just get in the motorhome and to be outside and to camp. And I was terrified, but I went ahead and jumped into the motorhome with him, our dog, our cat, and
I know your
Lyric.
cat, everything. Yeah.
And I was just like, "What are we doing?" And we literally thought we were gonna just go away for the weekend to gain some like solace and just.
And it was like every day was another Instagram post, and you're in like, everywhere. And I was like, what is this? I mean, I loved it. I was so obsessed with it. But
I couldn't believe it. It turned our weekend trip turned into a month long excursion of just traveling around and just exploring the US and just being like with no other campers hardly at all. There
hmm,
was nobody on the roads, there was nobody in the national parks, and it was just very out of my comfort zone. And so
mm-hmm.
I think after that experience, my husband just kept saying, let's sell. Like, what's the point? Why do we live here after coming to Arizona on our little motorhome trip? I was like, you're right. Why are we in this gloomy weather? Like, it's so draining on your emotional being.
Oh yeah. I
And
had to take
so,
vitamin D when I
yeah,
was there because it messed me
yes,
up so bad. So bad.
me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I had to do the light.
Well, the sunlight therapy. Yeah,
the
yeah. My
sun,
therapist or my psychiatrist was like, if this doesn't work,
yeah,
we're gonna have to do this, because it was just,
yeah.
people don't understand it until they live there.
Oh,
Because they think
it
it's
was,
just wet all the time. No, it's like
yeah,
gloomy, just
it's
gloomy.
gray.
It's just
Yes,
gray. Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Okay, so Arizona
Ah,
comes in, and
yeah,
your brother's in Arizona,
yeah.
right?
My brother's
Okay.
here.
And
Yeah.
you're close with your brother, so that makes sense, right?
Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
brother that I grew up with in
Yeah.
my adopted family.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so he um he was just like, "Yeah, come on down." And literally we sold our house with no selling agent. We listed it by ourselves.
The
We
dream. That is the dream, Nikki.
yeah,
No one
we
made money off of you guys at all.
no, we were like, "We're going to keep this." Like we worked hard on that house. And
Yeah.
so,
So
yeah,
then
and we
so
just
then you moved to Arizona. You don't have a house at the time.
no,
And
we're
you
living in a
just
motorhome
you're living
again.
in the motorhome. And then you're just like, okay. And then this house,
Yeah.
like, you're just, how did you find this
Yeah.
house? Like, because how long were you in the motorhome before you found your home?
Let's see. So we sold our home in September, and then we were faced with some really difficult situation with Caden and some health issues that
Mm-hmm.
happened. And so we lived in the motorhome in my husband's cousin's driveway for an additional month because we couldn't leave Washington until I knew she was safe,
Right.
until I knew she was going to be healthy and well. And then we took off and we lived in the motorhome for about 2 months here in
Oh my
Arizona.
God.
with the
That's
cat and the
insane.
dog and the daughter.
That's
Oh,
insane.
I know, and then we found the house because my brother let us use his, address to get Lyric into school, and
Ah,
so we just narrowed it down to a neighborhood, and actually the house we were overbid by 2 prospects by, like, $28,000,
wow.
but they took favor upon us because they loved our story of just saying, "We're gonna lean into surrendering and just walk with faith and be guided," and
There you
they
go.
said, "You guys."
It's manifesting, manifesting,
It's
manifesting all the time.
manifesting.
Okay, so you get
Amen.
there and now you're like this because before you left Washington, you're yoga, yoga,
Yeah.
yoga, yoga. Everywhere I saw
Yes.
was just yoga, which I thought was so great for you to like zen you
Yeah.
out and everything.
So
So now you're in Arizona and you're starting this whole guru
mm.
healing process. And I'm so
Oh,
proud of you. I'm so,
thank
so proud of
you.
you. I can't even express how proud I am of
Ah,
you. I think that you've finally found your niche and your way.
amen.
I mean, when I met you, you were like Marilyn Monroe 2.0. And part of you still is and always will be because, that's our girl. But I've seen this transition and seeing you
Yep.
now doing this yoga and still looking gorgeous and beautiful and all that,
Oh,
but like just I see you centered. So explain to
yes.
me what your goal is now with all of this yoga and why people should follow you on social media because I think you have a great social
Mm.
media. I think you've really stepped up your
Aw.
game and like you're on it and you're on point. So tell me what
I
your
love
goal and
that.
your aspiration is in this new place
Oh
that
my
you're at.
gosh. I love that. Well, I'm working up in Scottsdale at a place called Free Spirit, and it's a psychologist, and she has a beautiful open mind and has equine therapy. She has Reiki masters. She's got me, a mindful movement coach, to help people move their bodies and to shed their trauma through yoga. And then I do the Reiki with them. And I just really feel that I was led there because I have been manifesting the ability to have a profound impact on helping other people heal. It just, ah,
I know that's you to the core in your soul. That is you, you know?
100%.
That's what you've done for me in my life.
No.
When we met, I was so lost and troubled and you just like
Oh,
it's almost like you sensed it in me and you just like took me
ah,
under your wing. So I'm so
same.
excited that you are on this path. And
Me
I
too.
mean, it couldn't be any better. I think everything has happened exactly the way it's supposed to with you.
I
And I think
agree.
you're like I said, you're centered and
Yeah.
sky's the limit and I know that this is
Oh.
only the start of your entire journey. So what is your social media handles, and then I'll put it up on the
Okay.
podcast too so people can see it, but just let everyone know
That's
what it is.
awesome. My Instagram is barefoot blonde girl. And then,
Perfection.
because I'm hippy dippy like
Yeah.
that. And then my Facebook is Niki Gonzales. And then my Twitter is barefoot blonde G.
Right, laundry, yeah, because it's
G.
taking
Yes.
perfection. We'll put them on too because people when they watch this on YouTube
Aw,
they can see it on there too because
that's
I could talk
awesome.
to you forever, Nikki, but I
Me
just
too,
wanted
girl.
to you'll have to come back and we'll just keep doing this
Yes.
and we'll like center it in, but I just want people to know who you are and what you're
Oh,
about because you're an inspiration. You've been through so
oh,
much and this isn't even the half. This is even half of your
right?
story, but like we
I
started the
know.
tip of the iceberg. So next time we'll go
Totally.
deeper, but I love you
Totally.
so much and I
I
am
love you.
so proud of you. You have no idea.
Oh,
I'm so, so proud of you. And hopefully I will see
mm.
you soon in real
Yes.
person to person. I have to see this
Yes.
new
I
house.
cannot wait.
I know.
Oh,
All
I
right.
can't wait
Well,
to see your new house.
I know. Very excited. All right, love. I love
Oh,
you so much.
I love you
Thank
too, babe.
you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
And
Thank
we
you.
will talk to you so soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste,
Mwah.
mama. Bye. All right, guys, until next time, make sure you check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And make sure you can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, or watch us on YouTube. Until next time, OG of the HRC, signing out.